Hello and welcome to ACS Golf and this week's review. Well, I'm looking at this, the Cobra LTDx iron. Now, I'm a massive fan of Cobra. I did a review of their Cobra LTDx driver, which you can buy in great bargain at the moment in the second-hand market. I absolutely love that thing. I've had their hybrids before, but I've never even done a video on their wedges, and I have their new wedge this year actually to review for you guys as well coming up. So I really like the brand, but I've never actually tried the irons. And that's made me think about this, have a look at the Cobra LTDx. And the reason for that is this now. So obviously last year's model is an absolute bargain, not necessarily just on the second-hand market, but actually in the store. So obviously being last year's model, a lot of stores are doing sales on it. So you can go and get yourself fitted for that and save yourself a lot of money. So that's the reason I picked it up today. So I'm going to have a look at it for you guys. Obviously, at the end of the video, I'll discuss if I think it's worth going down this route. Obviously, a lot of the time we deal with the sort of second-hand market rather than actual going to shops and buying clubs. But, if you want to go out and get fitted, you don't know what what shaft you need to be using, your flex, if you need it longer, or you need obviously the angle change, etc. Then, and you want to obviously not spend thousands of pounds, which you can do on brand new irons nowadays, this could possibly be a good option for you. So, as always, let's have a closer look at the club. Then I'll come back here and we'll talk all about the technology, get down to the range, and I'll throw some figures at you. And then obviously we'll go through the ACS Golf Scale and I'll give you my overall conclusion about this club. Okay, let's have a closer look at it. So there you go, a closer look at the club. I mean, it's not that bad looking actually for obviously a game improvement iron, which it is. This is a 7-iron, by the way, what I'm testing. The sole isn't that thick, but for me, it's the top ledge there. The top edge is very thick. I've used game improvement irons before. I've had JPX 91 hot metals in the bag. Done a review for them as well, so check them out. And so I'm nothing against sort of the more chunkier irons. Personally, normally I like a little bit more blade-like. At the moment, I'm playing MP20 HMBs, which is a little bit smaller, but there's nothing wrong with having a bigger chunky iron, especially if you're high handicap, mid handicap, who just wants that help. Having that would obviously help go through the turf. Sometimes having that blade iron, especially when you're going through rough, and you really get stuck in it. So not a bad looking club. Now let's go straight into technology. So first things first, off Cobra's actual website here, so I shall read it off for you guys. We have the PWR core technology, so that'll be the power core, which is just there. So multi-layer power core weighting system features a steel core bar, there you go, that positions the CG low and right behind the hitting zone. The core bar is separated from the face, body and sole and is suspended within a polymer injected casing. The design promotes maximum deformation at impact to create an elastic rebound effect that delivers powerful ball speed. So, you look at a lot of the majority of sort of game improvement irons, especially when they're pings, obviously, like I said, JPXs, a lot of the time they're sort of that more cavity back. Obviously, these are, and you can sort of see the cavity back there. Obviously, this is cavity back, but it's also a hollow construction by the sounds of it, where they're injecting that polymer sort of substance in there, which is very much like obviously TaylorMade do and a lot of the clubs do nowadays. So moving on, we've got high MOI design. Additional mass is positioned in the heel. There you go, and the toe area. Sorry, that's the heel. Get my foot right. Heel and the toe area to improve stability while maintaining a sleeker looking shape that is aesthetically pleasing. So like I said, it is a game improvement iron, but the offset isn't too huge. Just that sort of thicker topper edge, which when I was looking down at it, and still am, was quite sort of shocked by. But anyway, and then we've got the PowerShell face technology, which is all of this, I'm assuming. PowerShell is a proven technology that is delivered our fastest face designs over the last few product generations. An L cup design, there you go, It's forged from a thin and strong stainless steel and promotes up to 17% more flex, resulting in faster ball speed and higher launch across the face. So obviously saying everything that you want from game improvement irons: faster ball speed, higher launch, because obviously you've got to remember with game improvement irons, the idea isn't necessarily to increase spin, to get low spin, get that distance, but also because you're getting low spin, you're not going to have the same ball flight. So the idea is to increase the ball flight to actually help with the stopping distance. I mean, if you just have a low spin shot that coming out low, it's just going to roll forever, and you might hit the green or just roll off the back. So the idea is to get that ball in the air so it sits nicely and stays there. And the power shell, there you go, mentions this as there, so it's all here. And then finally, you have the CNC milled face and grooves. So CNC milled, obviously they had that on their drivers. They've now stopped that this year with the Aerojet, but obviously they use it for their irons as well. CNC milling produces more accurate groove shapes to optimize spin and control for improved accuracy and stopping power into the green. So there you go. Again, they're saying there about spin rate, but when it comes down to these sort of clubs, there is going to be lower spin, so you're not going to find the spin as such as, I'll get it out for you guys, as it's right behind me, as something like that. Something that's not as thick, not as bulky, and obviously the loft. I mean, you can tell there. Look at the loft difference of that. That's a 7 iron, and then look at that loft there. So, you're not going to find the spin like you would in the better player irons. So, and I'll discuss that at the end of the video, actually, what I think about it. Now, go on specifications about this, which sort of mentions what I was saying there. If I go down the lofts here, sand wedge 54, okay, not the end of the world. Gap wedge 47.5, okay, personally I use gap wedge 50, but I have used 48, so again, not bad. Now, this is where it starts to really ramp up when it comes down to lofts. Pitching wedge, 41.5 degrees. That is insane. I mean, when I was using the JPX's hot metals, I think it was 44, and I think that was strong. So 41.5 degrees, that's insane. 9 iron, 36, 8 iron, 31. I'm pretty sure this 7 iron here is actually weaker than that 8 iron, or maybe spot on. 7 iron, 26.5 degrees. That is extremely strong for a 7 iron. 6 iron, 23.5. That's actually stronger than my 4 iron in my bag. 5 iron, 20.5. And the 4 iron, 18.5, which, I'd say is a 3 hybrid or, 7 wood. So really strong loss there. And one thing I'll mention as well, which is with this game improvement here, is I've also got offset. So the idea as well is somebody looking at the game improvement might be a slice of the ball. And so they've actually got an increasing offset to actually close the club face to help keep the ball straight and not slice. So if you're someone who naturally has a draw, you might struggle with these. And I'll go into later on my findings, because I did try and actually fade the ball a bit. So I will discuss that later. But the offset, gap wedge, sand wedge 1, so normal face, fine. But then it starts creeping up. Pitching wedge 1.5, 9 iron 2, 8 iron 2.6, 7 iron 3.2, 6 iron 3.9 degrees, 5 iron 4.6, and then the 4 iron 5.4. So they're really starting to close that angle there, which is really sort of, really does help you if you struggle with your longer clubs to keep it straight. But then, like I said, if you're someone who fades the ball, fades the ball, if you draw the ball naturally, you could end up hooking this way left. So definitely something to think about, but good, obviously, with the idea that they are game improvement irons. And, if you're slicing the ball, that will help you. So there you go. Obviously, shaft wise, it's Cobra. You're always going to get good shafts in there, especially if you get fitted. They'd be good. So KBS I've got in here, Tour 90, which is regular actually. I normally like a stiff myself, a little bit more control, but we'll jump into the figures anyway. So there you go, all the technology as expected with Cobra. A lot of stuff in there. I really do like the way Cobra works, and a lot of the stuff sounds really good, but let's find out if it's worked. So okay, let's jump to the range. I'm going to throw some figures at you, and then we'll get back here for the ACS golf scale. One thing I will mention as well, they do have that weight there as well for, putting that weight, there you go, to the toe, for obviously more forgiveness. Okay, let's get down to the range. So here I am down the range. Let's jump straight into those figures. So on average, I had a carry of 164 yards, total distance of 173 yards, ball speed 114 miles an hour, launch angle 19 and height 75. So for me, when it comes down to game improvement irons, I'm sort of looking really on average around 170 total distance. So 173 over that is great. Longest on the day was 182, which for me in the 7 iron is a pretty hefty distance, so really happy with that. The only problem I would say is the stopping distance. You know, I literally only had 10 yards of rollout, which is not necessarily what I want from a 7 iron. For me, it's really the club that is still used for quite a few approach shots, so I'd hope to be stopping a little bit quicker than that. Feel wise, out of the middle of this face, I was really surprised how nice this felt, to be honest. Really soft. When I did miss, it did feel a bit harder, but it was very difficult to find out exactly where I did hit it on the club. Height was maybe a little bit lower than I'd hoped for a 7 iron, but that could probably be down to the very strong loft. So there you go, some impressive figures there. You know, on average 173 yards, you know, longest being 182 yards is mad. Really, that's normal, my sort of 5 iron, I'd expect. You know, for me, when it comes down to distances, if I'm playing something like this, I'm looking at sort of 160 to 165 on average. Game improvements 170. So to be over 170 on average, you're really impressed by that. But there is possibly a problem with that. So we'll go into that. Now, let's do that. So yeah, let's do it. So distance first from the ACS goal scale. Remember, it's 1 to 5, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. Now, distance 4.5. Cannot complain. It is a rocket ship. It's massive, but do you want that with your irons? You know, 182 miles per 182, total distance on the longest hit, and then suddenly I'm looking at, well, hold on, my 4 iron goes about 200, my hybrid goes about 210, 220. What's a 5 iron of this going to go to? You know, what's a pitching wedge going to go to? There is that possibility that then suddenly gapping is just not going to work. So you have to be aware of that. Think about the gapping. And also another issue that I had with it, you know, on average it was 164 total carries, so total distance 173. That's nearly 10 yards of rollout with a 7 iron. 6 iron don't mind, 5 iron don't mind, but when that's a problem with game improvements, and especially maybe this one, is the ball fly maybe was a little bit lower than you sort of hope for your 7 iron. Obviously with the lower spin, it means it's just going to roll more. So, you know, if you're aiming to, personally for me, if I'm shooting into the green with my 7 iron, I'd be looking to sort of get it to stop on that green. I'd be definitely aiming for the green. I wouldn't be aiming anywhere near it. I'd be aiming for that green and getting stopped. This, I'd be worried that I'm going to hit the green that's going to roll off. So I'd be sort of aiming at the front of the green. If you aim at the front of the green, there could be bunkers, etc. So you could get into trouble with it. So even though the distance is 4.5, great, really long, you know, if you're that better player out there, you need to really consider it. You know, is it the right one for you? When you do have other game improvement irons out there that are more expensive, but like the JPX range, which distance wise they're a little bit more controlled, so could fit a little bit better. But then even with the JPX, just to be fair, my 5 iron was going the same as my 4 iron, so you even still had the problems with them. But there you go. So just be aware for that for stopping distance. Now, but for just looking at the category of distance, which I do, 4.5 out of 5. Now, moving on to feel. So I was actually really surprised by this. Out of the middle of this club, which I found quite a bit, it feels glorious. It feels soft. It feels great. I wouldn't obviously say that it is, you know, a forged iron, no, but for something like this, you know, game improvement iron, I was really, really surprised. The moment you sort of miss that sort of sweet, very, I wouldn't say small, but very, very sweet spot in the middle, then it does become a little bit harder and the noise is a little bit more louder as well. But you don't lose any distance or anything like that. So that's fine. But feel, I look for 2 things when it comes down to feel. I've looked obviously the feel of the club when you hit it, but also knowing where you've hit it. So, knowing if you hit it on the toe or knowing if you hit it on the heel, which for this, I couldn't tell. When I hit it right at the middle and had that really soft feeling, yes, but if I was slightly off, I couldn't tell if I was like there or there. I just couldn't tell you. So feel for me 3.5. If you get out in the middle, feels really nice. Even off the middle, it still feels pretty good. But because I don't know where I've hit it on the club, that's why it's 3.5. Because for me, I like to know where my bad shots are. Okay, I'm off the toe. I'm a bit too close, a bit too far away from it. Okay, I'm off the heel. I'm clearly too close to it with my stance. So there you go for that. Now, moving on to looks, I've given it a 3 out of 5. I'm not saying it's not a good looking club. I really do think it is. I do like the Cobra there. I like their sort of, I think it must be fake sort of look of carbon fiber there. That's quite interesting. Looking down, I like the sole. I don't think the sole's too offensive for the 7 iron. I just think that's too thick for me. The top line is just too thick for me. So I've given it a 3 out of 5. Some of you might disagree with me, but for me, that top line can be thinner. Moving on to forgiveness now. Forgiveness, I've given it 4 out of 5. It is literally a game improvement iron. There's going to be bags of forgiveness in there because that's the whole point. Don't get me wrong, if you do a horrendous shot, you will still suffer. I did an absolutely shocking one. Yeah, 105 I dropped down to. That was me when I was actually trying to see if I could fade the ball, which I'll discuss in a bit. And I didn't hit it at all well. But, I still got 163 yards total distance. I only lost 10 yards the total distance, and it was a horrendous shot. So 4 out of 5 for forgiveness. Loads of forgiveness in there. Obviously, not the most forgiving model. Your hybrid irons are sort of that level, but really happy with it. So 4 out of 5. Now on to price. Now I've given this a 4 out of 5 for price, not because of necessarily what the price is on the second-hand market. I mean, you look on eBay, you're looking at £310, so around $385. Another one I saw £350, so about $440. 5 to gap wedge, £345. It's about $430. I think from what this is, I think it's still a good deal. It is a 2022 club, so again, the price for that isn't that bad at all. I'd probably give them that a 3 out of 5 because I think it's not bad because you can, you're in the borderline of that of the JPXs and the Mizunos. Not obviously this year's model, not last year. The 2021s, 2019, JPX 919s, for example, for 2019. You're getting into sort of that sort of category around that price. So there possibly maybe better options out there. But the reason I'm giving it 4 out of 5 is because brand new, you can pick this up 5 to pitch and wedge for £470. Under £470. That's under $590. That's insane. You can go and get yourself fitted for Cobra, a big brand iron for £470. Brand new, fitted to your specs. Boom. Love it. That's why I give it 4 out of 5, because I think if you're just starting the game and you want to go and get yourself fitted, and you're adamant you're going to do that rather than go down the second-hand route, it's a really good option to go and try. So that's why I'm giving it 4 out of 5, because of that reason. I think, if you want to go and get fitted for it, go and check out the shops. You can do. And let's be honest, when it comes down to game improvement irons, when it comes down to any technology in golf, over the last 5-6 years, there hasn't been that much change. They might blow, and say there's loads of stuff they've changed and everything's great, but it's only going to be very minor tweaks. You're not going to, your average golfer is not going to notice it. So, go and get fitted for these from 2022 will probably, to be honest, perform just as well as the 2023 Aerojet version. So really, really impressed with that. And also you get the one length as well with these, just to say. So if you want 5 to pitching wedge all to be the same length, you can do that. So it'll all be the same length as 7 iron actually. So yeah, if that's what you want to do, if you're Bryson out there, then yeah, go and give that a go. So there you go. So overall on the ACS Golf Scale, some good scores. Now, what do I think about this club and who do I think he's aimed for? If you're a high handicapper and you need that distance, or you have a sort of slow swing speed, etc., you just want the forgiveness and get the ball there and have fun with golf, perfect. Absolutely perfect. I really do think, it is great for you. You'll go out and you'll enjoy it. If you're now the better player golfer, such as myself, 12 handicap at the moment, have used game improvement irons to help me bring down to that 12 handicap, but starting to really wanting to aim for that pin rather than sort of playing, hitting the front and letting it roll on, etc. Don't think it's for you. I just think it's possibly too long for you guys. I think this is a very long club, which can cause gapping, especially at the back end. I mean, you could have maybe two gap wedges, to be honest, and take the 5 out and have the 6, because that could be your 5 iron, which is always an idea, to be fair. And I just think as well, when it came down to shaping it, because you've got that offset built in. Twice I tried to do, well, a few times, sorry, I tried to do a fade, and I pushed it right. I managed to push it right a few times and get it moving to the right, but I never actually managed to get it to fade right. So obviously, if you're experimenting, if you're trying to work on your fade and your draws, etc., I think you'll struggle a little bit with this because of that offset. You're not, especially in the longer irons, you're not going to get that fade if you're trying to work for that fade, unless you're very good at it. I mean, I tried, and like I said, I managed to push it out right a few times. I just couldn't get it to fade. So there you go. So if you want workability, not perhaps the club for you. So overall, do I think it's a great club? Yes, I do. Do I think anyone should put it in the bag? No, we've all got different requirements. But if you're a high handicap or even a mid handicap who just all he cares about is getting that help, getting that distance, and just hitting the ball straight, I really do think, and you want to get fitted for new clubs, I think it's an absolute great option. I do think it's a great club for the right person. So there you go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to give it a like and also subscribe to the channel, guys. So, more subscribers, more videos, and also to make sure that you don't miss out on any more reviews that are coming up. As I said, I got Cobra's this year's wedge new. I got a few new clubs coming, and obviously some old golden oldies as well for you guys. And do leave in the comments down below. If you play Cobra irons, have you played like the F9s or anything like that, or have you played the LTDx? What do you think of them? Are you really happy with them? Would you stick with Cobra in the future? I'd really be interested to know. Okay, guys, as I said, hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next week for another ACS golf review. See you then.